Attention passionate Montreal Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, I want to talk to you about what's been brewing in the NHL, specifically in the Atlantic Division, and how it might just have huge implications for the Montreal Canadiens. You see, the offseason is always a time of big moves, of strategic shifts, and right now there's a buzz around the New York Islanders, a team that's looking to retool and come back stronger after a somewhat turbulent season. You might have heard about their recent signings, but the real story is what's looming on the horizon, especially regarding their defense core and how they're planning to reshape their roster. The Islanders, under their new GM Matthew Darch, have already taken some steps by re-signing Kyle Palmieri and Adam Bockvist, two key pieces in their lineup. Palmieri, a veteran winger with a nose for the net and a knack for clutch plays, has been instrumental for the Islanders' offense. His leadership and scoring ability keep him as a vital part of their attack. Bockvist, on the other hand, is a young, dynamic defenseman with offensive upside, someone the Islanders see as part of their future. But beyond these signings, what everyone's really watching is the defense situation, more specifically, the future of Noah Dobson. Now, if you've been following the Islanders closely, you've probably heard that Noah Dobson is a restricted free agent this summer, and his negotiations are already creating quite a stir. Dobson, who only a couple of seasons ago was shining brightly, finishing 8th in Norris Trophy voting and posting 70 points in 2021-22, has seen his production dip a bit this past season, finishing with 39 points. But what's more interesting isn't just the numbers, it's the potential and the future of this young defenseman. You see, Dobson is a right-handed shot, and in today's NHL, that's like gold. Teams are always in need of reliable, right-handed defensemen to balance their pairs. The Islanders, like many teams, have a relatively sparse pipeline on that side, with prospects like Isaiah George, Jesse Pulkkinen, Kalo Delius, and Matthew Schiffer mostly playing on the left side. So naturally, there's a strong desire to keep Dobson, especially considering his age, just 24, and the fact that he's shown flashes of brilliance. However, here's the rub. Dobson's current contract is at an AAV of around $4 million, but with the cap rising significantly this year, thanks to the new salary cap structure post-pandemic, his camp is aiming for something much bigger, possibly in the neighborhood of $10 million per season. That's a considerable jump, and whether the Islanders are willing to go that high is the big question. The players' camp is confident, perhaps even optimistic, about getting that kind of money, especially after his breakout season 2 years ago. Teams are always wary of paying big bucks for players who have had inconsistent seasons, and this past year Dobson's production did dip, which might give the Islanders some pause. But let's not forget, the Islanders are a team in transition. They have a window to contend, and they need a solid defense core to do that. If they can't reach an agreement with Dobson, they might have to explore other options, and that's where things get really interesting from a Montreal Canadiens perspective. Because as many of you know, the Canadiens are always looking to improve their roster, especially on defense. They've been rebuilding, yes, but they're also trying to be competitive sooner rather than later. And rumor has it, Montreal could be open to making a splash this summer, especially if they see an opportunity to acquire a player like Logan Mailloux from the Islanders. Yes, Mailloux is a young, 63 right-shot defenseman, just 22 years old, and has been developing nicely in the Canadiens system. He's shown flashes of offensive potential and has the size and physicality that the Canadiens have been emphasizing in their defensive core. Plus, the Canadiens might be willing to part with one of their first-round picks, possibly their second one, to make a deal happen. Why would they do that? Well, the Canadiens are in a bit of a rebuild but also want to accelerate their timeline. If they can add a young, promising defenseman like Mailloux and maybe a draft pick or two, it could help them fast-track their plans to be competitive again. Now, from the Islanders' point of view, acquiring a player like Mailloux could serve multiple purposes. First, they get a right-handed defenseman who's still young and has room to grow, fitting perfectly into their retooling plans. Second, they might use their draft picks or prospects to leverage a deal, possibly adding a player like Marco Rossi from the Wild, another young talent who could fit into their future plans. And let's be honest, the Islanders are not shy about making bold moves if it means becoming a Stanley Cup contender again. They've shown that in the past, and with Darch at the helm, they're likely to be aggressive this offseason. But what about the impact on the Canadiens? Well, if Montreal manages to land Mailloux and perhaps a draft pick or a prospect in the process, it would be a significant boost to their defense. They've been building from the ground up, focusing on developing young talent, and Mailloux could be a cornerstone piece for their future. It's all about retooling, as Darch mentioned, not a full rebuild, and adding a player like Mailloux fits perfectly into that philosophy. The Canadiens have also been looking to add grit, size, and offensive ability on the blue line, and Melu checks those boxes. Plus, with the Canadiens having a solid core of young forwards like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and others, bolstering the defense becomes even more critical for their competitive window. Looking ahead, it's going to be fascinating to see how this situation unfolds. Will the Islanders be willing to pay top dollar for Dobson, or will they pivot and look for other options? And if they do decide to shop Dobson, will the Canadiens be the team to step in and make a deal? It's a game of chess, and both sides have their own agendas. The Islanders need to be aggressive to compete in a tough division, and the Canadiens, ever opportunistic, might see this as their chance to add a key piece to accelerate their rebuild. And don't forget, the Atlantic Division is getting more competitive by the year. Teams like the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are always in the mix, and every move made in the offseason can tilt the balance. The Canadiens, while still in their rebuilding phase, are quietly positioning themselves to be more competitive sooner than later. They have a strong core of young players, and with a few strategic moves, they could surprise a lot of people next season. So folks, keep an eye on this developing story. The offseason is just kicking off, and the dominoes are starting to fall. Whether it's the Islanders trying to hold on to their young star or the Canadiens making a bold move to add a key piece, it's shaping up to be an exciting summer in the NHL. And as always, I'll be right here, bringing you all the latest updates, analyzing every trade rumor, and breaking down what it means for your Montreal Canadiens. Because in the end, it's all about the passion, the rivalry, and the relentless pursuit of that Stanley Cup dream. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending the latest Montreal Canadiens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these rumors and potential moves? Do you think the Canadiens should go all in and make a deal for a player like Melu? Or are you more cautious, wanting to see how the team develops naturally? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion really matters to us and to the future of your beloved Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and all the latest news to keep you ahead of the game. So stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the Montreal Canadiens spirit alive all year round.